All right. I am going through some Duel Cup replays today. Haven't really had too much time to play because of work and just life in general, but had a few replays. My deck's going into the Duelist Cup. My primary was to go in with Christian K9, but I don't know. Like after like a couple plays in, I started noticing a lot of like floodgates and stun decks. So I switched to Lunalight. So I'm playing Lunalight branded. It's mainly Lunalight with a little bit of branded package. So I guess we can look at the deck first, but we'll go through some replays here. Well, yeah, let's look at the deck first. So pretty standard outside of the branded stuff. So let's see what we got here. So 1 Maxi, 3 Lunalight Black Sheep. I want to see more of this card in my opening hand to get access to polymerization, and if it opens up in my hand, it's also a good target for like super or not super but heavy polymerization. You got 3 Ash Blossom, 2 Silverhound, 2 Kaleido Chick, 1 Yellow Martin, and then 1 Fallen of Alves for the branded package, and then Try Bandage. This is basically to get Silverhound into the graveyard. We got 2 Prelia, just a better card in this meta, and then 1 Fulos, not as impactful with the current meta against like Radiant Typhoon, Vanquish Soul, K9, and then obviously 3 Go Leo, and then I'm playing 1 Lunalight Wolf. I'm not playing the other Pendulum monster just because deck space is kind of tight, and I realize like with a lot of the hands that I usually play with, that line usually plays into Droll, so I just took it out. Like I realized I don't use it as much, so just taking the space. And, I instead added a 3rd Black Sheep, and then obviously polymerization. Foolish Burial is able to dump any target, could be Silverhound or Yellow Martin, or any card that we're needing. And then Lunalight Perfume is an extender, usually used to get access to Lunalight Wolf. What else we got here? Lunalight Fusion, just one of. I'm really good going second because if they have a monster and I have 3 Lunalights, or they have a couple monsters and I have, well, it's usually just 1 extra deck monster. So yeah, if I have 3 Lunalights in my hand and they have at least 1 monster, I can go straight into Liger Dancer. 2 Branded Fusion. So Branded Fusion is actually really good in this deck because basically, and I'll show you in the extra deck, but we can summon this guy, Ring Drum, off of Branded Fusion, because the fusion materials require 1 Fallen of Albaz and then any beast, beast warrior, or winged beast monster. So a lot of the Lunalight monsters are beast warriors, so you can get a trigger effect off of Branded Fusion. And then obviously, going first or second is really good because Ring Drum has a negate effect for extra deck monsters and can bounce a monster off the field. So great when you see it going first, but also great when you see it going second. And a lot of times this can eat an Ash, because a lot of times they'll try to like save Ash for Go Leo, but if you use Branded Fusion first, which obviously you want this to go through, but it's not the end of the world because it's not like you're playing branded, you're playing Lunalight. That's like the main archetype of this deck. And then heavy polymerization, I had it at 2 previously in ranked, but I upped it to 3 just because going second, I want to see this card in my hand. This is like a win more card, because a lot of these decks, they're putting out insane boards. So if you're able to kind of play through some of the negates, where they have no more arm negates or trap negates, or or spell negates, this, assuming that I have other Lunalight monsters, at least 1, maybe 2, depending on how many monsters, I can cheat out a Liger, which is great. And then from there, you pretty much have the game back in control. And then I actually used to play 2 of these as well, but I upgraded to 3. Like less hand traps, more starters, more consistency, and more ways to get into Liger is kind of the theme in this Duels Cup. So Tenki, using it to add Go Leo, or you can use this to add some of the other cards, such as like Black Sheep if you need polymerization. And then 3, Lunalight Masquerade. You know, this is a really good starter. Sending, you know, usually Silverhound. Silverhound's usually a card you want to send with a lot of the, you know, cards that you're using to mill or dump into the graveyard. And then the real beauty of this deck is the fact that you can play Dominance Impulse. So this card's a lifesaver. It's really good against like certain matchups like Draco Tail, who wants to summon their Femina. It really just kind of shuts them down there. And then also, you know, like I said, it's a going first card. You know, if they're trying to like use certain types of monsters, if they have a monster out in the field or card on the field. So really good. And then obviously it's also a hand trap and extra disruption, you know, when you build your board. So really cool there. And then for the extra deck, you know, normally I like to play 3 of these. I see a lot of decks out there with 2. I'm playing 2 in this build just because the extra deck spots are kind of limited. So this essentially gets your Lunalight Perfume, and it allows you to basically summon your Kaleido Chick twice, or an extra time, to get more cards in the graveyard. I've never summoned this card. This is really just if for whatever reason I'm limited on resources and can't get to a Liger Dancer, then I can, you know, summon out the Leo Dancer instead, but never came up really. And then the small branded package, so 1 Sprint, 1 Mirror Jade, and then 1 Ring Drum. So how these cards are used, so when I have branded fusion, almost 100% of the time I'm summoning Ring Drum, because like I said, the goal is to get one of the Lunalight monsters into the graveyard to trigger, and then I'm also having this monster on the field. So an extra body, negate, can also send a card back to the hand, bounce a card back to the hand. But going second is really good because a lot of times they have extra deck monsters on the field. So, you know, if they don't negate the branded fusion, it's a board breaker or pseudo board breaker, because, you know, this card, like I said, is a negate for extra deck monsters, and then we'll send a card to the graveyard. And then it also enables your playing into a board, which is great. A Mirror Jade is usually set up when I'm like trying to establish a board. Let's just say if maybe I don't open branded fusion, you know, I'm usually, you know, making this card off of Verte Anaconda. You know, use Verte and then Albaz after sending branded fusion to the graveyard and then fusing into Mirror Jade. And then on the opponent's turn, when I banish non-target banish a monster, I'll send Ring Drum effect on their turn to special Fallen of Albaz, and then go into Sprint, because Sprint basically says you can use the Fallen of Albaz and 1 effect monster special summon that turn. So there's obviously a lot of other targets you can use for Albaz, but this just seems to be the most widespread and more generic. So like 1 effect monster, I mean that's pretty much any monster that they're going to summon on their turn. So it doesn't really do as much disruption as a card, but, you know, fusing away one of their monsters is important enough. You know, the point is to limit the bodies they have on their field, and then it does have an effect on your turn. Let's just say if for whatever reason it survives that turn, then any monster in the main monster zone in that same column, you know, I can choose to move it to that column and destroy, you know, a card in that column. So it's kind of like Raisin from Vanquish Volcano, except it's not as good, but, you know, it is what it is. It's not a quick effect. And then Lunalight Saber Dancer, I probably summoned this maybe once or twice. It's not usually ideal, but like maybe for whatever reason I don't have enough resources. It's a way to get monsters into the graveyard or something. But I mean, it's a pretty big beat stick. I mean, basically, you know, it can gain attack, you know, it can get lethal pretty easily with it. Another card that I don't usually summon or have rarely summoned is Leo Dancer. Like I said, this is like a Timu version of Liger Dancer, but, you know, it is pretty powerful. 3500 attack, can't be destroyed, can't be targeted, so it still has really good protection. But the Raigeki effect is not really as great because it's in the battlefield after, you know, you make an attack, so not usually the best there. By the time you get into the battlefield, I mean, there's not really much you can do. And then obviously the card that we're shooting for each game is to get out Liger Dancer, and pretty much once this is summoned, it's really hard to beat, you know, because even if they can out it, a lot of times you're having to build a board to out it, and then you can just destroy their field. Another thing too is that like it's unaffected, right? So you know, spells, you know, all these stun decks don't affect this at all, and it'll destroy all their monsters. Can attack twice. Like I said, 38 attack. You know, really hard to overcome, especially two of them. So, you know, getting out one is enough, but if you can get out a second one, it's pretty much GG's. And then some other support extra deck cards. So I had this card out for a minute. I was playing what's the Link 1 off normal summon, forgetting the name, but you know, I was playing that, and then I decided to put him back in because there was a game where it came up where I had 2 level 4s, didn't have access to any extender. I'm like, man, if I had this card, I could have definitely, you know, got access to this card, Tenki, and made plays from there. So not cutting this card anymore, it is essential. And then Dugaris is just awesome. It basically is another extender as well. So if you have 2 level 4s, obviously it's used to kind of summon Kaleido Chick from the graveyard back on the field to dump more monsters in the graveyard. It can also be used to get an additional draw. Let's just say if I have a pretty established field, just extra monsters, you know, just get, you know, a YOLO draw 2 and then discard 1, not a big deal. I don't think I ever really used the double attack because this card wouldn't really affect the Liger Dancer, which is the card I usually have on the field. I mean, I could potentially use it for Mirror Jade, but I mean, 3 or, you know, 2 to 4 attacks from the Liger Dancer or the Liger Dancers is usually more than enough. And then I already explained Verte Atacanda. This card, like I said, is primarily used to go into Mirror Jade without sending Brand Infusion, infusing with Fallen of Albaz, and I guess yeah, this card. So yeah, and then Little Knight. I usually like to end when I'm creating a board. I'd prefer Mirror Jade than Little Knight. Little Knight's still good, but I feel like Mirror Jade just has more disruption. Like, one, it's a non-target banish, whereas, you know, Little Knight is a target banish. Mirror Jade has a destruction effect, which is a floating effect, or what is it called? Not a floating effect, but I forgot the word for it. But basically, you know, if they have somehow like remove him from the field, either through destruction or just removal in general, like, he'll be able to destroy the opponent's like whole board, right? So not only are you dealing with 2 Ligers potentially, like, you know, blowing up your field, but you also have to deal with an end phase nuke at the end too. So the potentially 3 nukes that it's really hard to overcome. And then, you know, the additional disruption you get through Mirror Jade, not only just the banish, but you also have like the ring drum in the graveyard through that, which, you know, you can use Albaz to summon, and then basically Albaz will fuse into Sprint. So just really great coverage there with these 3 cards versus Little Knight. Yes, it is taking up more space in the deck, but I think it's worth it, especially with the 2 towers that you have access to. But I would say SP is probably a better card. Well, I don't know, like, if I have Brand Infusion, I mean, I'm going into Ring Drum, right? But if I have 2 bodies, and let's just say somehow I get stopped, or maybe there's some back row I need to remove, then SP, you know, obviously can target back row cards. So really good card you still want to keep in the deck. By the way, there's a new version of this card. Let me add that, the alt art version. Yeah, there we go. I want my skateboard SP. Alright, we're good now. But yeah, so that's the deck. I guess we can get into some of the replays. So we'll just do a few. But yeah, so yeah, you know, it's been pretty good. You know, you can see going, I think some of these are going first, some of these are going second, but you know, I'm getting consistent enough wins to be able to rank up to the max level. So I'll play a little bit more later today, but you know, so far haven't played too much, but you know, just enough to be able to continue to rank up. So let's start with this replay here. So I think this replay I was going first, and can't remember. I think this was against Odeon. Yeah, I think it was against Odeon. Let me see. So I opened up Perulia. I usually just fire that off because I can't use it the rest to do anyway. So I start with Tenki, I add Go Leo, summon O Leo, normal summon, then I get Imperm, which sucks. The hand isn't this great, I can't really extend from here. So I end up passing my turn pretty much. into Timer. Alright, then I can tell from this deck it's either Blue Eyes or Odeon. And then, you know, obviously it doesn't link off his Primite, so he's playing Odeon. He grabs Drill Beam off of his Lordy Load, and he tries to summon the level 6 Tuner to go into Baron, but I don't let that happen. As I mentioned, Impulse is insane, so I use that to stop him. He does take out my Go Leo, but, you know, I'm feeling good, you know. Not really much board presence on his end, so he must have bricked or had a bad hand as well. And then look at that, branded fusion, baby. Like, that's crazy. Like, yeah. So we're going to Ring Drum. Go Leo, summon off of Silverhound, and then I get impermed again. So at this point, I feel pretty good already because I have Wolf in hand. So with the hand I had the first turn, I couldn't really do much, but I still have my normal summon, and then I have Wolf in hand with a bunch of Lunalight monsters, so I can still make plays from here. So another imperm, but this time we played through it. So I get negated, and then I use Wolf to make a Perfume Dancer. Perfume Dancer will add Lunalight Perfume, and then we use Lunalight Perfume to bring back Silverhound. And I was kind of thinking I should have probably kept a Go Leo, because Go Leo has a really cool effect to add a monster back, but and that didn't get, that effect never got activated, so I could have actually used that, but anyways, we're okay. So I discard Silverhound, get Kaleido Chick, and then normal summon Kaleido Chick, send Yellow Martin, and then I use the effect of Perfume to bounce, and then special summon Kaleido again. Kaleido sends Leo Dancer, Yellow Martin sends back Wolf, so Wolf can activate again, and then we go into the Liger Dancer. Alright, then it's pretty much GG's from here. Yeah, he scoops, because, like, there's no way he's going to win this game. So like I said, just getting one Liger out is, like, all you need, and then you can win the game. Alright, another replay. Can't remember exactly what this deck was that I played against, but it was another win, so. Okay, so pretty fragile hand. Don't usually like to see. Oh, actually, no, I went second this game, so. Oh, okay, I was playing against Exodia. Yeah. Exodia, you know, not a bad deck, but it does play a lot of stun. So I don't know. I'm noticing a tendency of a lot of players in this Duelist Cup, like there's a lot of stun cards, and just stun decks in general. I don't know what it is about this particular Duelist Cup so far. Maybe I'm just running into these type of players, but I got something for them, so I ain't worried. All right, then he summons Exodia. Didn't have to lose any life points, so he has the full effect of getting 8,000 points. And then he sets the Fires of Rage that can basically destroy all my cards on the field. Alright, so I normal summon Go Leo, then he activates his There Can Only Be One, and then honestly I'm not sure why my opponent negated his own card. So this card says each player can only control one monster of each type, right? You know, players control 2 or more monsters of the same type, they must send the monsters to the graveyard. So I'm not really sure what happened, but he had exactly one type of each monster. So he had a Spellcaster, a Rock, and a Beast Warrior. Why did he negate his own card? I don't understand why he negated his own card. So yeah, I'll just let him do his thing. He kind of shot himself in the foot there, but I'll take it, because that would have screwed me over for sure. So Silverhound, and then I think maybe he accidentally, I don't know if he meant to trigger something else, but he blows up or destroys my Go Leo, and then I summon Kaleido Chick off of Silverhound, and then send Yellow Martin. Yellow Martin summon, and then we go into Lunalight Fusion, straight into Liger Dancer. Bam. Alright, so in this game, even though I have this monster, I'm still worried about Exodia because he has the effect in the battle phase to gain attack equal to his life points, right? So basically, I know that, you know, currently I have more attack than it, but in the battle phase it's going to activate to increase his attack, and I don't want that to happen. Lunalight has a one-trick card that can basically stop that, right? So I'll show you what it is in a second here. So he activates his Heart of Blue Eyes card. And then, but it doesn't affect my monster because I'm unaffected anyways. And then Kaleido Chick comes back. Kaleido Chick sends Go Leo, just another body, and then I use Perfume, Lunalight Perfume to add Wolf. Alright, so what we're trying to do here is with Wolf, I'm going to fusion summon into another Liger Dancer, right? Because I have, you know, what's it called? Leo Dancer in the graveyard and a bunch of Lunalight monsters. But what's really important here is that this monster gets sent to the banishment zone, because you can see it reads, if this card is banished, you can activate this effect. This turn, your opponent's cards and effects cannot be activated during the battle phase. So, as I mentioned with the Exodia card, it activates during the battle phase to, you know, gain attack equal to his life points, right? So this card essentially shuts that off. So let's keep playing through. So I banished those 4 cards, including the Kaleido Chick. Get another Liger Dancer out. So we got 2 now. So feeling really good. And then Kaleido Chick activates, so take out their Exodia card, doesn't activate, and then we try to Raigeki the field, and then obviously Uju Temple has some effects to push cards in the back row and they're destroyed. And then Sengen has an effect to go in the back row, but it doesn't matter. We have so many attacks and so much damage. GG's again. So yeah, pretty straightforward game. I mean, just have to read cards and know like their effects, because I could have easily just, oh, I have a Liger Dancer, and then go straight into battle, and then like he has 8,000 on the board and it can't be destroyed. Then it would have been really bad for me. But I guess the only way I could have potentially got rid of that card, I mean, I would be able to go into Verte Anaconda. I could potentially just use Mirror Jade to banish it, but like, why carry on the duel when not necessary? So I'm telling you, read cards, man. That'll save you a lot of time in games. All right, one more replay, and then I guess we'll call it. But yeah, Lunalight's been, you know, doing pretty well, going first and second. So I don't know, Christian K9, like I'll probably give it a try after I hit max and just kind of see. But I don't know, man. With all these stun decks people are playing, like it's just not fun playing against those stun decks. So I guess it's not fun for them when I'm like cheating out a Liger Dancer. All right, so this game had a pretty bad hand, but you know, hey, if we can make plays, we'll make plays. So I'll speed this up, but the usual stuff here: Silverhound. Oops, speed it up. Go Leo, Yellow Martin, send Yellow Martin effect to get Masquerade. Masquerade to send Kaleido Chick, add back Kaleido Chick to hand, and then we will normal summon Kaleido Chick to send Leo Dancer, add back Perfume, activate Perfume to get Black Sheep effect to get Polymerization, activate Polymerization to go into Perfume Dancer, and then get back our Polymerization, and then another Lunalight Perfume, summon back Kaleido Chick, send another Leo Dancer, summon back Gold Leo, and then Martin, and then fuse into our first Liger Dancer. And then add back Polymerization to Kaleido Chick this time. And then Perfume Dancer again will get us our Wolf. And then Wolf will go into our second Liger Dancer. Alright, so nothing crazy here. But we got 2 Liger Dancers, and then we're playing against, what was this? This Tearlament. Okay. Yeah, let's just speed on through. So, honestly, I don't know what he's doing. I don't think, I mean, he might play Goddess, so that was probably the only thing I was worried about maybe, but other than that, I was just like, let him do what he gotta do. Started to get 4 monsters, and I was like, okay, let's negate that dispersion, because I know the Gem Knight monsters can beef up their attack and then get some protection, so I don't want that. But he ends up with like I think 4 or 5 bodies on the field, and I'm just like, all right, let's clean up this field a little bit. Well, everything destroyed except the normal summon monster, and then I think from here, I mean, doesn't really have much he can do. Yeah, he just scoops. Not much there. So, yeah. All right, is there one more? Let's see if there's like a longer one. Oh, this was a. Oh no. Damn. I guess a lot of times when you see Liger dancers, everyone just scoops. Damn. Nothing more than a turn 3 duel. Okay, let me see if there's another like turn 3. Turn 3. I don't even know what these are. I want to see if there's one where I actually go into like. I guess I did use Branded Fusion that last game, but where I actually go into Verte. Well, this will be the last one regardless, but let's see. Okay, so I went first this game. Okay, a pretty decent hand. Ash? Ash check? No Ash. No, nothing lighting up, so yeah, I think I get to play. You know what? No, I think he nibs me. Yeah, he nibs me this game. I remember this game. Okay. So we're just doing standard plays. We'll just speed this up. Alright, so Perfume Dancer, and then yeah, basically I think I try to make Verte off these two, and then he's like, oh shit, I don't know what he's gonna summon, and then he decides to use his nib, and I'm like, alright, cool man, whatever you gotta do, bro. Yep, he's gonna nib me. I remember this now. Yeah, there we go. I get nibbed. So no birthday out of goddamn for me. Got a nice token on the field, but we can still make plays, man. Already got Perfume. Lunalight Perfume. Yep. Beautiful. Beautiful. Go into a Liger Dancer numero uno, and then Wolf can get us another one, and this is off of nib. When the hand makes sense, you can play through a lot of stuff, and then we just set Masquerade. All we need is 2. Doesn't really matter what he's playing. Alright, so honestly I wasn't really sure what he was playing. Ice Barrier. Yeah. Got rid of his cards there. Trishula. What about towers that are nearly impossible to out? Well, I think it depends, or I don't know if that's the question. I didn't see the full text, but these towers are really hard to out. Like a tower that has no effects, just a vanilla tower that just sits there, that's unaffected. Like you can work towards it because it just sits there. It's just a body. These particular ones, like they already have effects, and you can summon 2 of them, right? Really easily. So yeah, well the opponent should be running Underworld Goddess. I'm playing Lunalight, so I wouldn't be running it. But yeah, Underworld Goddess would help. But any smart Lunalight player would know that they're trying to build an Underworld Goddess. I can't talk today. And you know, obviously with 2 Yeah. No, I can't run it because I'm playing Lunalight, and like I don't have deck space. But any opponent that's like not playing this deck that potentially wants to have a good matchup against me would play Underworld Goddess. There's a few other cards you could tech, but Underworld Goddess is usually the easiest. But like I said, most Lunalight players that have at least 2 Liger Dancers, I mean, let's just say they out-won with Underworld Goddess. That's only one of them they're dealing with. There's still another one there, right? So if you have 2 Lunalight monsters, 2 Liger Dancers, it's like really hard to out. So yeah. Yeah, it is underestimated. I think the thing about this game is there's a lot of like variety, and you know, there's just a lot of different decks being played, so a lot of people are preparing for the meta deck. So if your deck can kind of play strong against the meta, then you're good, right? So with these cards, yeah, basically a kaiju takes care of it. You know, a card like Underworld Goddess takes care of it, but Underworld Goddess is a little easier to play against. A kaiju, I mean, you have no way of predicting if they have one in their hand. So yeah, I mean, this deck gets crushed by a Lava Golem, like Lava Golem, GG, just scoot. But yeah, I mean, you could play through, even with Underworld Goddess, I could still play through that because you're only taking care of one of my Liger Dancers. I still have another one there that can still do damage, right? So, but yeah, let's keep the play. So I activate this card to boost my attack, and then we destroy his monster. He summons another one. Not worried, destroy the next one, and then it's GG's, and then he just scoops. Just let me get the last attack in, man. Come on, just let me do it. Anyways, those were a few replays there. So yeah, loving Lunalight. Like I said, I was coming into this thinking I could play Christian K9, but for whatever reason, a lot of people are playing some weird stun decks, right? So I lost enough duels to be like, you know what? I'm bringing out Lunalight, and I'm adding Branded to it, so it's working really nice. Really loving it. What's going on, Toasted? Yeah, you need to build Lunalight. Like I said, I had it earlier in this stream, but like this is kind of what I'm building mine like right now. Like I love it. So the branded package, I said, is really good because it's like also an additional consistency. So like the starters, I would say, you know, go Leo, those 3 of them. This is also another starter because, you know, you send a Silverhound, so that's 4. And then you have Foolish Burial, that's 5. And then you have Branded Fusion. So Branded Fusion, because of this card being able to fuse into this card, which requires 1 Fountain of Albaz and 1 Beast Warrior, you can also send this card too. So that's getting you not only just a body, but also starting your play. So these 2 are really great. The only thing is that it shuts off like non-fusion monsters, so you can't make SP, you can't do Verte. I mean, Verte is to go into fusion anyway, so it doesn't matter. But you can't make Brotherhood, you know, Tiger King, and then you also can't do Guards. But those aren't really like essential plays. You're usually summoning your fusion monsters anyway. So like I said, this is a really good card. So how many am I counting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9, 10. Tanky. And then basically another 13. So yeah, 13 starters in a 40 card deck. That's a pretty consistent, deck. So yeah, I'm loving the Branded so far, and it's really good playing second, getting this card out first. So yeah, loving it. You know, if you want to like take a picture of that, you know, give it a chance or try. Let me know what you think. But I'm loving it so far. So I'm hoping to hit this weekend. I'm gonna get some time to play a little bit more. I should be able to get to the max level with this. Like I said, I would have loved to play my Christian K9 deck, but I don't know. I've seen enough nasty floodgates and nonsense out there. So hey, I'm joining the dark side. Lunalight Branded it is. But all right, I'm gonna end this stream. I'll definitely be trying to stream again this weekend, get some gameplays in. But yeah, that's how this deck's been working out for me so far. Really good stuff. All right, later.